5:59.
You still got a minute.
5:59:54.
Is everybody ready?
I'm just not late.
Let's go.
Go for it.
Good evening. This is the Tuesday, April 25th, 2017 meeting of the Chino Valley Town Council. Welcome. I'd like to call to order, and let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. You're already up. Thank you. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, hello. Try that again. Councilmember Miller.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Turner.
Here.
Councilmember Lane.
Here.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Here.
Vice Mayor Best.
Here.
And Mayor Croft.
Here. The first item on the agenda is introduction, presentations, and proclamation. I have a proclamation to recognize the 242nd anniversary of the United States Army. And I'll come out here with the sergeant and we'll read the proclamation. Sergeant Thrasher, please come up front with me.
Yes, sir.
For you Navy guys, that's Sergeant First Class.
A monkey out here somewhere? And you were a sergeant in the Army?
Yes, sir.
What's that tell me? Proclamation. And you introduce yourself.
My name is Sergeant First Class Thrasher. I'm the U.S. Army recruiter here in Prescott.
Proclamation, 242nd anniversary of the United States Army, June 14, 2017. Whereas on June 14, 1775, the Second Continental Congress, representing the citizens of 13 American colonies, authorized the establishment of the Continental Army, and whereas a collective expression of the pursuit of personal freedom that caused the authorization and organization of the United States Army led to the adoption of the Declaration of Independence and the codification of the new nation's basic principles and values in the Constitution. And whereas for the past 242 years, the Army's central mission has been to fight and win the nation's wars, and whereas the motto, duty, honor, and country, is the creed by which the American soldier lives and serves, and whereas no matter the cause, location, or magnitude of future conflicts, the nation can rely on its Army to produce well-trained, well-led, and highly motivated soldiers to carry out the missions entrusted to them. And whereas members of the town of Chino Valley have proudly served and made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation's freedom while serving in the United States Army and other branches of our national military. Now, therefore, I, Darrell Croft, Mayor, and the citizens of the town of Chino Valley recognize the historic significance of June 14, 2017 as the 242nd anniversary of the United States Army, and express appreciation to the United States Army and its soldiers for 242 years of dedicated service. In witness thereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the town of Chino Valley to be affixed on this 25th day of April 2017. Congratulations on your anniversary.
Yeah, I'll say something. I was wondering what I was going to say tonight, so I talked to Miss Lane, and it brought a lot back to me. When I don't think a lot of people. Okay. I don't think a lot of people realize what the Army had to deal with from around 2005 to 2010. About over 200,000 people deployed to Iraq and the same amount in Afghanistan. We're doing 15-month tours at a time in a combat zone. I left in 2007 to a wife that was 6 months pregnant, came back to a 1-year-old and a wife that was 2 years older. I got shorted on that part. But people don't realize there's no other force in the world that could have took on what the Army took on. It's impossible. The size of the Army and what they had the soldiers do is beyond phenomenal. You got to realize a kid could have joined out of Chino Valley 3 years in the Army and spent 50% of that in a combat zone. You know, the magnitude is humongous. I believe there's 1,200 infantrymen in Mosul right now dealing with ISIS, and it never even breaks the news anymore for the 82nd Airborne Division. I believe Sergeant Parada for Chino Valley Police Department, his son right now is the 101st Airborne Division. Really put aside some of the soldiers I've met because it took me a while to deal with it when I got back. Had a lot of hatred for literally everybody, and I apologize for my saltiness sometimes. Even towards other people, even towards other soldiers, you know what I mean? I just wanted to be left alone. Until I just really started thinking about what the Army did and what it took to do what the United States Army did. I don't think it'll ever go down in the history books like Normandy, you know, or the Tet Offensive, or but people don't realize how much a stress a family was on, a stress a soldier was on from those years right there. Not taking any wank away from the guys there now. But 15 months at a time is grueling. Okay, I did a 12-monther, trust me. When you hit 8 months, you're like, man, I'm about to go home. When you hit 8 months and you realize you got 6 months to go, you're feeling down, okay? Believe me. But thank y'all very much for being here. Hey, we've had a lot of young men and women join out of Chino Valley for the Army, okay? Very selflessly. This year out of the high school, Jacob Stickles, okay, is one of them. And I forget our wrestler's name, and forgive me. But I'm going to look right quick because I have to mention his name because he's probably one of the most outstanding young men. Austin Eller is probably the most outstanding young man we have in our group right now. Okay, Austin is phenomenal, and I promise you he's going to be outstanding in the Army. I would compete him against literally any guy in the pool, if that makes sense, you know, because we do with our guys, our recruiters out here, is my guy's got your guy, you know what I mean, and either is unbeatable. But thank y'all very much for me being here. I'm sorry for rambling. If y'all need anything from me, please let me know, okay?
Fit right in with this group, right? Anybody have any questions?
My hometown is Boaz, Alabama. Boaz, Alabama. Thank you, sir.
Not that he has an accent. Thank you, Sergeant. Appreciate it. Here you go.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Item B is a presentation regarding Head Start programs and services by Family Advocacy Representatives Nancy Meek and Virginia Jargon. The presenters will not be able to attend tonight and request moving this item to the May 9th agenda. Can I have a motion to that effect?
Make a motion to move the presentation of Head Start to May 9th agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you. Item 3, call to the public. Call to the public is an opportunity for the public to address the council on any issue within the jurisdiction of the council that is not on the agenda. Public comment is encouraged. Individuals are limited to speak for 3 minutes. The total time for call to the public may be up to 30 minutes per meeting. Council action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, scheduling the matter for further consideration, the decision at a later date, or responding to criticism. Does anybody would like to speak and call the public? Hearing none, let's move on to response to public. Response to public is an opportunity for the mayor to inform the public about how town officials address matters raised during call to the public at a previous meeting. We have no response to call to the public. So we'll move on to current events, summaries, and reports. This item is for information only. The mayor, any council member, or town manager may present a brief summary or report of current events, and are asked that staff members provide the same. Presentations on information requested by the mayor and council will be made, and questions answered. No action will be taken. I don't have anything. Does council have anything? Any reports?
No.
Reports this side?
No.
Okay. Hearing none. Town manager, do you have reports?
I just have a few small things. I always like to give kudos to some people on our staff, and this week I'd like to say thank you to our court and our finance department who has been helping out the city of Clarksdale, town of Clarkdale in their court as they're putting their court case management stuff together. They haven't done that before, and our court has been working with them to do that. Secondly, I wanted to mention to you as a council that we have made a conditional offer of employment to a deputy town clerk, so thankfully our town clerk here will get a little relief coming early May. And lastly, we've been asked to make the announcement that we're still seeking applications for a council position, and to please contact our town clerk if you're interested. As well as other public bodies.
All right, thank you.
That's it.
Town attorney, do you have anything?
No merit, but I'm happy to be here tonight in
We're
person.
happy to see you in real life, and we know that you're not a picture on the wall. Thank you. Consent agenda. All those items listed below are considered to be routine and may be exacted by one motion. Any council member may request to remove an item from the consent agenda to be considered and discussed separately. Town clerk, would you read the consent agenda, please?
6A, consideration and possible action to accept non-revocable offer for dedication of public roadway from Adam Schuster on property identified as assessor's parcel numbers 306-23-028V, T, and W, generally located on Road 1 West between Center Street and Road 1 North. And 6B, consideration and possible action to accept the April 11, 2017 regular meeting minutes.
Anybody want to pull anything?
No, sir.
All right, I don't need a motion on the consent agenda.
I make a motion to accept the items on the consent agenda.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Let's go on to action items. The council may vote to recess the public meeting and hold an executive session on any item on this agenda pursuant to ARS 38-431-03A3 for the purpose of discussion. Excuse me. A consultation for legal advice with the town attorney. Executive session not open to the public. No action may be taken in executive session. Let's go to item A. Hold a public hearing regarding notice of intent to increase admission fees to the town of Chino Valley Aquatic Facility located at 1615 North Road 1 East, Chino Valley. Consideration of possible action to recommend approval to increase admission fees for the town of Chino Valley Aquatic Facility. Chris Bartels, Public Works Manager. Mr. Bartels is not here tonight, so Town Manager, what do you?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I sent you an email last evening. There was an error in our notice of intent to increase the fees for the aquatic center. So staff is now recommending that we cancel the public hearing, cancel our intent to increase fees. We'll look at doing that in the fall for next swim season.
Is there a motion to approve? Any questions?
No questions on my part.
Questions on either side? Motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the recommendation not to raise the fees for the aquatic center this summer.
Point of order, if we could have a motion first to cancel the public hearing.
Cancel.
Cancel public hearing.
I make a motion to cancel the public hearing.
All in favor?
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Secondly,
That would be it.
we need a motion to cancel that agenda.
Okay,
item.
I make a motion to cancel the agenda item A that was intended to raise the fees, which we are not going to do.
Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Great deal. Okay, let's go on to B. Consideration and possible action to approve a conditional use permit, CUP 17-001, for approximately 2.7 acres of real property located at 868 East Road 4, APN 306-04-001U to allow a medical research facility within this CH Commercial Heavy Zoning District subject to condition. Ruth made it.
Mayor, I need to recuse myself from this. I'll take my seat in the audience.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you, you have an application for a conditional use permit. The applicant is Corey Mendoza, and for Perry Stone to use a portion of his property for a medical marijuana pharmaceutical research facility. The UDO does not at this time indicate or designate a zoning district where any sort of medical or research or development, or any research and development for that matter, should be placed for zoning purposes. So the UDO does allow latitude to the zoning administrator and the development services director, which is me, to determine where those uses would be best placed. At looking at the proposed usage and talking to the applicant and to Mr. Stone about what it is they intend to do, the project is to grow specific strains of medical marijuana to better refine the product that is cultivated. The product is then sent out for testing. It is not distributed. It is not sold or wholesaled in any manner. The entire purpose is to develop strains with low THC levels and high CBDs, which is the portion or the part of the marijuana that provides the medicinal benefit to those who are using it. Whoops. This is the property description. It's in close proximity to the 4 North and 89 roundabout. The parcel is approximately 3 acres, slightly under that. The building that would be used would be this building here. There is an existing cultivation facility up to the north. This is the building that would be used. All of the testing and growing would be done completely within an enclosed locked facility. That is one of the stipulations of the conditional use permit. There will be no visible signs from the outside. What is being done on any work that is being done on the inside of the building, what type of research or development is going on within the building. This is pharmaceutical research is something that you would typically find in a commercial heavy zoning district. The fact that this is medical marijuana adds another layer to it. In discussing this project with the applicant and with Mr. Stone and the town attorney, we've stipulated the items so that compliance with federal law for research and development facilities of these of this type, compliance with their laws is required in addition to the laws of the state of Arizona. So they would have to obtain a federal license for research and development to be able to do anything in this structure. Again, this is a subject property. It's zoned commercial heavy. The property to the north is commercial light. There is a vacant AR5 parcel to the south that's currently an agricultural use. This is within the commercial corridor in the land use designation of commercial and multifamily residential in the general plan, so it isn't compliant with the general plan, and this is a potential community core, which in the general plan is designated for commercial and industrial uses. The applicant is available to answer any questions you may have. I believe Mr. Stone has a video clip and a presentation he would like to share with the council as well.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions?
Questions?
I don't have any.
Questions?
Annie?
No.
Okay.
Good evening, council. A little different being on this side. I've been hit with a little bit of fake news, so that Ruth did a great job of explaining what's been going on here, or will be going on. I am the landlord. This building became vacant several months ago, and my neighbor to the north, Perry Stone, approached me with what it was he wanted to do with that building. Being that I have publicly spoke out against marijuana use, or even I was against voting it in as even the medical marijuana when it came to ballot. I felt the harm to society outweighed the positives. I was outvoted along with a lot of people in Yavapai County. But the bottom line is, yes, there have always been some positives that go along with this plant. And as I was vetting this potential tenant to rent my building to, I needed to do a little bit more research. And in doing so, some of the progress that's gone on medically with the oils that are from this plant are pretty substantial. And substantial to the point that I, with a clear conscience, could rent this building to them to further the medical side of this plant. So I just wanted to take this moment to be crystal clear that I am still against the smokable marijuana. I think this whole law is probably one of the most abused laws out there. But I'm not going to ignore the fact that there are some truly magnificent medical things that are being done that are helping children, that are helping elderly with Parkinson's, that are helping, and I'm not trying to exploit the Army side of this, but the PTSD that a lot of our vets are having to deal with. This is also helping some of them. So I'm not embarrassed or ashamed to say that I support what I'm doing in the grow facility or the research facility that this is. Thank you.
Mr. Stone?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time. Yeah, I'm glad that Corey made it clear that he's a landlord. I just saw for the first time a newspaper article that had a businessman in this, and he's been very kind to look into it. I brought two videos, one which kind of shows myself
Our Chief
as
Medical
well
Correspondent, Dr. Sanjay
as
Gupta,
not
has been
being,
working on a very Gupta has been working.
how do we make you stare?
Our Chief Medical Correspondent, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, has been working on a very.
I was a skeptic, and I grew up in college growing it in the mountains of Santa Cruz, California, and I didn't believe in medical marijuana until about 15 years ago, when I started to see some of the stuff that everybody else is starting to see now. And it converted me, and it allowed me to become one of the better growers in the country. And the research is so dynamic that I'm just addicted to it. And we've found a lot of good things, but we've also got this gentleman who was supposed to be the doctor to the president, who has also turned around. And this is what I wanted to share.
Very important CNN documentary about medical marijuana, and it's called Weed. It debuts this weekend, but the headline is so big, it can't wait. In a commentary you can read right now on CNN.com, Sanjay explains in an article he entitles, Why I Changed My Mind on Weed. In it he writes, and I'm quoting, I apologize because I didn't look hard enough. Until now, I didn't look far enough. I was too dismissive of the loud chorus of legitimate patients whose symptoms improved on cannabis. Sanjay is back here in the Situation Room to tell us why. You were referring to an article you wrote back in 2009 for Time magazine, Sanjay, which was entitled Why I Would Vote No on Pot. So tell us briefly, why did you change your mind?
Well, you know, I think a lot of it was in that quote. When you look at the literature surrounding marijuana, if you do a search through the medical journals, you know, some 20,000 papers would pop up. And I was keeping up steadily on the scientific literature. But what I was realizing was that the vast majority of these studies talked about the harm, the perils, the problems with marijuana. A very small percentage, less than 10%, close to 6%, actually evaluated benefit. So when you looked at all these studies in aggregate, Wolf, you would think that there was a distorted picture. You would think there was a lot more harm with marijuana than potential benefit. But it wasn't until I started looking at laboratories outside the United States, smaller laboratories that were doing amazing work, listening to the course of legitimate patients for whom not only did marijuana work, it was the only thing that worked. And that was quite stunning to me. I also looked closely at the DEA scheduling policy. They classify marijuana as a Schedule I substance, saying it's in the category of the most dangerous substances out there. And when I looked carefully at that, I found there was really no scientific evidence to say it was that dangerous, that it had high abuse potential, and that it had no medical applications. I believe it does have medical applications, and I just thought was an important message to get out there.
And you also conclude, Sanjay, and I read your excellent article, you conclude that in certain cases, medical marijuana is even more effective than various pharmaceutical drugs, right?
Absolutely, and this is, again, I think very important for people to hear. The medical community is starting to understand this better, but this idea that, for example, neuropathic pain, that's this terrible sort of burning, lancinating pain patients have described to me. Oftentimes these patients, they're miserable. They get narcotics, morphine, OxyContin, Dilaudid. These types of medications don't work, maybe at all, but certainly not after a few months. People can develop tolerance to them. And you come to find that marijuana, in a percentage of patients, not only does it work better than these narcotics, it's much safer. Because on those narcotics, Wolf, you and I have talked about this, there's a death, an accidental overdose death from prescription medications every 19 minutes in this country. Those are dangerous medications. You know, they have a role, but they can be dangerous. Whereas with marijuana, I couldn't find a single confirmed overdose death. So you have something that works better, may work when other things don't, and probably much safer. And again, I think that's important for both patients and the medical community to hear.
All right, so medical marijuana serves a useful purpose, you conclude. What about recreational marijuana? What are the pros and cons?
Well, you know, I do make a distinction between these things, and I think it's important. I mean, I really am approaching the medical marijuana.
I have the same attitude as most of you about recreational marijuana. I think it's dangerous to our children that are growing. So there is some issues on that. I'm working together with Dr. Anthony Smith. He's an executive scientist for Kevnair Research in Oregon. Him and a few family members of a friend of mine who we've helped have made this possible. The funds are coming from private parties. They're not even coming from with what's going on with the sales of the marijuana in the dispensary, although the dispensary is part of the research. And whatever state, federal, or local laws we need to follow to do that, we will. And this is to share. This is not for profit. This whole thing is to standardize what's going on within our state. This is just within this state at the moment, but it's to standardize it and to get it so it's the same, that the patients, whether they're in the northeast or the southwest of our state, are getting the same quality and the same effects are being known. Instead of it being there's not a lot of standardization in this. So that's why the research to us is important. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions on this end? Questions?
I do have a statement. I have been a supporter of medical marijuana. I've taken a bullseye on the back on that one. However, almost 2 years ago to the week, I lost a very good friend of mine who was a veteran who had an accidental overdose to too many prescription narcotics for his injuries. My mother-in-law went through cancer, and medical marijuana is the only thing that helped her. And one of my very good friends, my son's godfather, went through Hep C treatment, and medical marijuana is what kept him going and kept him able to eat. I applaud you on doing the research to reduce the THC factor, to concentrate more on the CBD oil side of it, which has the most medical benefits. So, thank you.
That's the reason we came to do this in the beginning. Thank you.
Good questions.
No one. I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the conditional use permit for approximately 2.71 acres of real property located at 868 East Road 4 North to allow a medical research facility within a commercial heavy zoning district, subject to the conditions indicated in the use permit letter.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, let's go on to item C. Consideration and possible action to adopt resolution number 17-1098, authorizing the acquisition of certain real property in the town for right-of-way and easement purposes for reconstruction of the intersection of Road 1 West and Road 2 North, authorizing the mayor, town manager, and town attorney to acquire title to real property on behalf of the town by donation, eminent domain, or purchase for the amount not to exceed fair market value of the property plus acquisition and closing costs. Mr. Straub.
Mayor, Council, about 4 years ago, we started negotiations with the local school district to improve this intersection. The bottom line is buses cannot make safe turns because of the limiting factors of power poles and some other items at this intersection. So we have proposed with the school board to widen the intersection, increasing the width to the west, to allow buses and traffic to go south, further to the west. Buses making turns would have an extra 15 or 20 foot to make their turn safely. We have been in negotiations recently with the school district. We will be coming back because we do have to redesign the intersection to only include the intersection at this time. We do plan to go out for bids next fiscal year for this work. There is some other work that's going to go on the school grounds. We'll postpone that due to funding, pushing that a little bit ahead. So I will be back shortly requesting permission to do some additional engineering to change the plans. We will also be attending a meeting in Phoenix to discuss the proposed work with the state school authorities. So tonight we're asking permission to go ahead and purchase this land, which is on the northwest side of the intersection. We do have other lands to the southwest that we will also have to purchase. So tonight, we're only here asking for the northwest purchase.
Superintendent Schill, do you have any comments?
You summed it up pretty well.
Okay.
We will, a resolution for the school board to authorize the sale of the property will be heard at the May 2nd board meeting.
Okay.
So all indications from the board members are that they are in support of the sale of the property.
Okay, good, thank you. Questions?
No, sir.
No questions, just want to make a comment that if any of you have been there before school or after school,
Yeah.
that you will know that this is long overdue,
Yeah.
and I'm glad it's taken place.
It's a traffic mess.
Me too.
Anybody else? Comments? Can I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to adopt resolution number 17-1098 to authorize the acquisition of certain real property in the town for right-of-way and easement purposes for reconstructing of the intersection at Road 1 West and Road 2 North, authorizing the mayor, town manager, and town attorney to acquire title for such real property on behalf of the town by donations, eminent domain, or purchase for the amount not to exceed fair market value of the property, plus acquisitions and closing costs.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Richard. Number D, consideration of possible action to approve and authorize Mayor Croft to sign the Second Amendment to the Wireless Communications Site Lease and Second Amendment to Memorandum of Lease Agreement, both related to a revised legal description for the town hall lease and landlord estoppel certificate and agreement related to the transfer of ownership of town hall wireless communications tower. Our town attorney, Ms. Smiley?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. This is to do with the tower that's outside the town hall. And this has been in the works for a long time. What happened was the site that was originally approved went right up to the parking lot or the sidewalk, I can't remember which. But this is to move that site back from the parking lot so that the fence is not right on the curb. So basically, it's just changing the footprint of the lease property. And in order to do that, the first document that we need is the Second Amendment to the lease. And then for the Sun State, they record, instead of recording the lease, they record a memorandum of lease. So we have to amend the memorandum of lease. So that's the Second Amendment to the memorandum of lease. And then there's also the third document, which is 60-some pages long, is purely legalese about the original party to the lease is Sun State, I can't remember the exact name, but it was sold to basically the same owners, but they have a different corporate name. So this is paperwork to say that everything that's in the lease and the Second Amendment to the lease also applies to these new people. It also has a statement in there that there's no, what is it, certificates, by the town attorney. That they are current on, there's no outstanding lease payments. So for this property, the lease stated that until there's a secondary user on the tower, there will be no lease payments. So that was an easy no-brainer. They are not required to pay anything for that lease until there's somebody on that tower. And the tower is currently vacant. Any questions?
So essentially, we want to move the fence back.
Correct.
Okay. After all the
Yeah.
legalese.
And you've
I
got
read,
about-
I read for 15, 20 minutes, and it put me to sleep.
Right.
But all they want to do is move
It's
the
about
fence.
90 pages of paper to
Yeah.
move the fence back.
All right, thank you, thank you.
Trees died?
Any questions?
So much for going green. huh?
So much for going green, absolutely. Questions on this side?
No.
And now I need a motion.
I make a motion to authorize Mayor Croft to sign a second amendment to the wireless communication site lease and a second amendment to a memorandum of the lease agreement, both relating to the revised legal description for the town hall lease and the landlord estoppel certification and agreement related to the transfer of ownership of the town hall wireless communication tower.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, executive session. Council may vote to recess the regular meeting and hold an executive session which will not be open to public for the following purposes. An executive session pursuant to ARS 38-431-03A3 for discussion or consultation for legal advice with the town attorney regarding enforcement of zoning ordinance number 13772 and pursuant to ARS 38-431-03A4 for discussion or consultation with the town attorney in order to consider his position in contemplating litigation or in settlement discussions conducted in order to avoid or resolve litigation in a matter of right-of-way dedication and roadway improvements required for Martin and Pamela Messenger. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to go into executive session after a 10-minute break.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Oh my gosh, there's still people here.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're getting paid overtime.
Don't forget to reconvene.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I need,
Wowzers.
I need Well, you know, I'm getting old and I forget things. I forget a lot. I am old. Okay, we have everybody back. We're going to convene the regular session. That makes the vice mayor feel better when I bang bang.
Yes, wake everybody up.
We in fact spent
Hour and a half.
hour and a half speaking with the town attorney, giving her direction. We did not take any action.
No?
Now,
Now,
I make a motion, we adjourn?
second it.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.